If I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you were ever gay.
I was never gay.
Exactly.
Wait, no, stop.
Yes.
No, stop. You can't. I was never gay.
Okay.
No, I was never gay.
Sure.
You can't just state something, then snap your fingers, and then be like, I was never gay.
If you say so.
Are you homophobic? No, seriously, I want to know.
You're such an absurd
I thought you would say,
being.
of course I have gay friends.
You're just such an absurd being. First off, the person that you're just an absurd human being.
I was in the library, and this book was on a stand. I'd like to read you a page. My back over my hips as I asked if we should take our clothes off. And he's saying yes before I finish my sentence. He's pulling off my t-shirt, laughing when I can't undo his shirt buttons. He's undoing my belt. I'm reaching into his bedside drawer for a condom. We're kissing. Again, we're rolling over. Obviously, you can see where this is going. I don't know if it's because we're feeling especially emotional or just tired, or these past couple of weeks have been too much. But this reminds me so much of the first time we had sex. We were both fucking terrified, and the whole thing was kind of terrible because we didn't know what we were doing. But it was good too, so good, because we were a mess of emotions, and we were scared and excited, and everything felt new. So this sort of feels like that. Nick touches me like he's scared that any minute. Now, this book was at my middle school, and it was on a stand. When I rented it out to show my dad it, the librarian asked if I wanted more and if I wanted a graphic novel version.
Doesn't need to be at our school. Doesn't need to be at my 11-year-old's library. And then, as far as genderqueer, I've got a son in the high school as well. And this is bullshit. We know it, all right? We do not need to be having literature that's showing boys how to suck, all right? I'm very, very frustrated about it, okay? And you may think that schools know the best for our children. You know who know the best for our children? The parents. And if you remember this, I was here last year talking about masks, and I even offered you proper usage for a mask, and you said I was bullying. And you know what I would like to say to everybody right now? Where are we a year later, and what has changed why you don't wear your masks right now? So what has changed in the medical field that is showing you that you don't have to wear masks now? So like I said, listen to the parents. I can tell you right now, I don't work anymore, and I will be more than happy to focus my time and effort to the security of my child and children in this school.
Imagine showing a book like that to a kid 10 years ago. You'd probably be arrested, but it's okay if the government shows this stuff to your kid. No parent has actually voted for this stuff to go into the schools. Pretty much any parent who finds it seems to be against it, but the schools keep doing it. Compare that to other countries where they're teaching kids about quantum physics and mathematics. But in America, you got teachers running around teaching them about what pronouns they should be using, and then showing them books like this. Yeah, pretty alarming stuff to find that in a school where kids as young as 6 and 7 can access it. Let me know your thoughts down below.
I just gotta ask, who's cosplaying?
Well, it looks like you are.
See, cosplaying is when you dress up as something that you aren't or someone you aren't.
Exactly.
I am a Muslim woman. I wear what a Muslim woman wears. I dress like that. So...
You really believe that?
1, I am Muslim. 2, not a fake woman.
You're a dude.
I'm a real woman.
You're a dude. You're a man.
Just as any other woman out there. I mean, we should have access to healthcare. We should have, access to our surgeries, therapists, hormones, other, gender affirming care for everybody.
Anything else?
No matter the age. Let me ask you this. How do we classify sports? We classify them between men and women.
No
Not male and female.
It's the same thing.
Y'all don't see us outside waving pride flags and judging y'all for going to church. So why the hell y'all out here? Why the hell y'all out here bugging us while we're trying to have a good time? Go to church and preach somewhere. If we want to go to church and we want to hear a preacher, when we at church, we ain't gonna come to no Pride Festival. We're at the Pride Festival to celebrate us, to have a good time, not to listen to this bullshit.
So You missed the part earlier. I'm not going to repeat myself, but if I know that God is real and that Jesus, I've seen what he did in my life, and if I just stayed in a church and preached to other people who know the same thing and never reached out to anyone else who's got anxiety or depression like I had, or who's suicidal like I was, or who's got hatred and bitterness and heartache and all those things like I did, that would be real hateful of me to do something like that.
The first thing she said was, you don't see us outside waving our pride flags. They're always outside doing that, screaming their own beliefs. So guess what? He's outside too. Now, what's the problem? Well, it's quite obvious, isn't it? They're not as tolerant as they think they are.
Is it ever appropriate to make campaign content at military grave sites?
He didn't take campaign photos there. These families, Gold Star families, whose children died because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, invited him to the cemetery, and they asked him to take those photos. You know who the families also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where were they? Joe Biden was sitting at a beach. Kamala Harris was sitting at her mansion in Washington, D.C. She was 4 miles away. 10 minutes. She could have gone to the cemetery and honored the sacrifice of those young men and women, but she hasn't. She never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified transfer.
Because of
they were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence that those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
Let's say you own a pencil factory. Without me to assemble the pencils, all you would have is a pile of wood, yellow paint, graphite, rubber, and aluminum. That is worth less than the pencil when you try and sell it. Under socialism, those people are the workers, and the example I give is cooperative enterprise.
No, those are the people who are investing the risk. So if they carry the risk, then they get the benefit. The owner of the factory carries the risk, therefore he gets the benefit. The workers in the company you mentioned, if that company were to go bankrupt, they would carry the risk as well as the benefit. Who do you think put more in? The guy who spent millions of dollars buying all the machinery, leasing the place, making sure there was a management structure, doing the LLC formation, making sure all the tax code was in compliance, or you standing outside because you can stick a piece of graphite into a piece of wood.
So that kid's basically a socialist. And a little fun fact regarding this channel, out of all the videos I make, the ones I make about communism and socialism seem to trigger people the most. It's so funny. Like, you guys are delusional. If you support communism, well, yeah, you're gonna be a failure in life. Alright, I don't care how mad that makes you. It's the truth. Anyway, if you don't want to make the pencil, guess what? Other people will fill your position. You're not as needed as you think you are.
Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned that we have three different shades
Don, I think we have to be able to
here.
talk about these issues in the open regardless of the color of our skin.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have a different point of view.
Black and white, that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding you as a black man,
insulting that
but
you're
me regarding you
here,
as a fellow citizen.
That's
what I think we should say.
Whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about
I'm,
what it's like to be black.
Whatever
in America.
ethnicity I'm, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white, doesn't matter.
Black fathers were being sent to prison.
And are you triggered, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There's no point in arguing with you because you're just a cosplayer. You're just a racketeer. You don't actually work in politics. It's fun to you. It's fun to like watch people come up and like have valid points, but then you sit there on your little high altar and just do this.
Well, like, does swearing make you more correct?
Why don't you just move the Venezuela? Does it make you less? Who gives a about civility when people are dying?
Well, actually, I do care about civility because people are dying. Like Steve Scalise almost died because he was shot by a Democrat. That's what I care about. Or Rand Paul assaulted by his neighbor.
Trans women getting pregnant is not as far off as you'd think. In the past 10 years, 50 babies have been born from a uterus transplant. How this works is a person with a damaged or missing uterus gets a new uterus. Then they get pregnant, then they give birth to a child via C-section. The implanted uterus is then removed so that the person doesn't need to be on anti-rejection meds for the rest of their life. So far, these implants have only been attempted on cis women, but there's nothing that says it couldn't work on a trans woman. After all, my hormone levels are pretty similar to a cisgender woman. So why not? The main thing in the way is that the science is new, so there aren't enough surgeons out there to do the testing. So it's less about if we can do it and more about when we can do it. Imagine a trans woman using her own DNA.
That's not how it works.
That's not how any of this works.
This is from a nurse. First of all, in order for this to happen, hell would have to freeze over. Then you would need to have the anatomy of a woman. The uterus is an incredibly vascular organ, has a tremendous amount of blood flow to it. You'd also need to develop a pelvic cavity that can naturally grow and accommodate a child. Oh, men don't have that either. Don't forget a pelvis, they are different in men and women, specifically for childbirth. Then you would need a brain of a woman because of hormones. And it's not just estrogen, proestrogen, there are many more. Oh yeah, you also need ovaries to help regulate all of those hormones. Men don't have those either. Now, you could give birth by cesarean, or else you would need something else called a vagina. Men definitely don't have these. If you could do all of that, you probably still wouldn't make it because there are a ton of other things we don't/can't understand about the female body to actually make that happen.
You look so pretty.
You're supposed to say I ate.
Oh. Damn, bitch, you been eating.
Why would you say that, James?
I don't know. You told me to
That's
say it. That's what
you say. Why would you say that? You think I'm fat?
That's what you said.
No, I didn't.